Okay, so please introduce yourself, giving me your name and your age.
Okay, my name is Aisha Zana Mustafa. I'm 21 years old.
Describe your life before the Boko Haram conflict broke out in 2009, 10 years ago.
My life was really peaceful. I would use the word peaceful because after the insurgency, a lot of things changed. But at that time, I actually could walk to school. That was one of the most amazing parts of it was that I literally could walk to school. Like the school was like 15 minutes away, but me and my friends, I had like friends from my neighbors, and we could walk to school. Apart from that, the city was secure. There's this feeling of security that we had. We could act, we could go out without being worried that something would go wrong. And you don't worry when your family members go out. There's a whole lot when you go out. You can't stop thinking that, oh, you know, what if something happens to me? Like the most common thought that comes to your head is like, what if I die here? Like, how would someone know? That's the most common thing. But before the insurgency, you didn't have thoughts like this. You just kept moving on. Even though I was really young, I was 8 to 9 by that time, the 10. It was really okay for me. I hung out with my friends. I went out. I went out with my siblings. I always had fun. But then after the insurgency, it was like I was scared of the whole city and I did not trust anyone.
So, describe your life, Aisha, once the insurgency began. How did it impact on you?
How it impacted on me, it was that I was in secondary school by then, and there was a time my school was actually attacked, but I wasn't there. It was about to be attacked, but we were protected. But then I could not forget the intense feeling of fear that I felt. I don't think I've ever. It was like this numbing feeling. It was like I was watching myself, like a third perspective. It wasn't me. Like all I was like I have never felt my heart beat so fast. I was ready for death in its way, and I kept imagining all the stories I've heard, and then it's right in front of me, and then I could hear the gunshots and everything. So there's that. It has impacted me in that way in my schooling because I did not feel secure at all. I did not feel secure at home. I did not feel secure outside. It was like there was no safe place because there was also like cases that grenade launchers would get lost and would end up in people's houses. Stray bullets will hit you. It's like you're always expecting this dreadful experience to happen to you. And but one good thing, I guess, from the insurgency that came was that when I became part of when Future Progress was.
Okay, so tell me what role you play here at the Future Paris Islamic Foundation.
Okay, so my job is I'm not officially a staff, but what I do is that I help these kids that come in, like these kids who have had unpleasant experiences. Like personally, I have good connections with kids, and I use that to my own advantage to help them, to our own advantage, because a lot of these kids when they come in, they've seen a lot of traumatic experiences, and you have to be careful the way you approach them, the way you treat them. There's the complexity of trying knowing how to act with them. Sometimes when you're too strict, it might, instead of you helping them, you might actually make them feel hurt or like go deeper into depression and stuff like that. Like some months ago, some kids, 4 kids actually came from the forest, and then the first time they refused to open up to everyone, and the first day they weren't opening up to me, but the second day, and it was like a slow process. And then after I talked to them, if you see the kids today, you wouldn't actually believe they're the ones that came 4 months ago, because I believe the first step in changing people and then making them forget is accepting them for what has happened and allowing them to accept it too.
What
Because
kinds of things did happen to them in the forest, reminding people who may be watching this and don't know about the forest?
okay, for them it was like they had an unpleasant case where their own grandfather actually kidnapped them and took them to the forest. They were separated, and one of them is 5, one of them is 8. One of them is 5, one of them is 6, and then one of them is 8. The eldest one was around 10, but he wasn't together with them. It was when they were escaping, they met. So these three kids, the younger ones, were kidnapped by their own grandfather. They went to the forest. As the kid said, he said they had to scavenge for food, and it was like there was so much killing. It was like sometimes they were so scared, and the female was actually used as a shield. Like whenever soldiers attacked the camps, not even like she doesn't know where her siblings are by that time, but her especially, she says every time when soldiers attack the camp, they gather more than 50 something kids, and then they put Shekau in the middle, like the main, like the heads in the middle of these kids, and the kids end up being casualties because from both sides they're shooting. So you can imagine. She said she has seen a lot of the kids die. That when she came out, she doesn't think she has seen any of them again. So you could start to imagine all of those experiences to know that you might die any second. And she was telling me the housing arrangements were really bad. But the one thing I think I noticed with all of this is that they could never forget it. Like when you ask them, like, what time was it? Was it winter? Was it raining? Was it? They would tell you exactly, and you can imagine how much of an impact it has on a kid. They were there for 4 years, so imagine if she was 8, she was 4 then. For someone to notice something at the age of 4 to 5, no, around that age, it means it must have impacted them really badly. But after we started talking, and then I was like telling her, no, it's okay, you can tell me. And she was telling me all of this, and she was like, there was also this fear of, that one day she'll be the next person, that they'll use her for something else, or, people dying, people going out. There was also that fear. And as I was talking to her, sometimes she cried, sometimes there was this, she had this blank look in her eye, like, like she's relieving it. And whenever I talked to her, it became easier. Like you could see how it could change, like And I told her that now she's safe. Actually, I don't think it will ever happen to her. That her brothers are here, her parents are here. Because one thing, another thing is that their parents didn't know where they were. I think her parents gave up actually. Her parents, with her and her brothers, they gave up on the chance of ever seeing them. And now coming back, I'm telling her that your parents are here now. You're safe. You're in school. You're safe, and we won't allow anything to happen to you. After telling her all that, I think at first she didn't believe it, because whenever people she didn't trust talk to her, which was okay with me talking to her, but when things happen, like she has this, like, it's like a seizure, and then she starts anxiety attack, and then she starts shaking and all. You can see how it's still there for them.
So, in terms of a resolution, ending this conflict, and thinking in terms of forgiveness, just give us your thoughts on those issues, how it can end, in your view, but also how can people forgive each other? You just mentioned these 4 brothers and sisters whose grandfather kidnapped them, took them to the insurgents. Where's this all going to end?
For me, actually, one thing I would add, I went
How is
into
it?
peace.
Sorry.
How I went into peace and dialogue is because we see this: the war physically might be won, but the war mentally and social connections between people have been broken. That connection, that relationship has been broken. We have to make others trust and then believe that their people are going to change. We have to dialogue between, from parents to kids, from children to their grandparents, because it would happen. And then, for example, if the grandfather comes back now and tells them that he's forgive me, it would be hard for them to forgive. And then I'm advising the government to actually take dialogue as an important aspect of it, because if this war isn't fought, like mentally, we're actually going to cause another war. It would come back, because this is an experience that some people came back from the forest, and then they went into camps, and people actually wanted to kill them. So you can start to imagine this, like parents would kill their own like kids would kill their own parents who don't forgive their kids would, it's a violent situation. So the government should take dialogue as an example, teach people an identity, um, forgiveness, one important thing is that people should accept that it has happened. Don't say that you're going to bury it, because when you bury it, it doesn't go away and you would always think about it. And people should learn to accept others' individualism, because that is what actually caused us insurgency at first. We as people tend to, my identity is mine, and when someone is different to mine, it becomes like I see that person as an outsider. But what we need to do is that we need to accept our own individualism and others too, because that way we can stay with people of any diverse background without having, thoughts that are bad prejudices. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's very interesting, very insightful. And it sounds like you've heard and seen a lot. Yeah,
Yes.
and trying to do your best to improve things. Thank you very much for
Thank
speaking
you
to us.
very much.
Okay, that's great.